All right, let's move on to Knockout Conference USA. If you like bad football, this is the conference for you. You could argue that 10 of the 14 teams are outside the top 100 in a logical power rating set. It's a bad conference. I have two plays here. I bet Louisiana Tech over. Shocking. I bet Louisiana Tech over 4.5, which I hated this team last year. I thought they were extremely inefficient. I faded the shit out of them against TCU, and then in the bowl game, this team couldn't move the ball. They couldn't run it. They had so many lucky wins, like last second wins, just pulled a bunch of wins out of their ass, and I wanted to fade them. But this is still Skip Holtz, and this is a guy that all he does is get to bowl games. They've been to bowls in 6 straight years, and if you just look at their schedule, you could safely assume they go 1-3 in non-conference. They'll beat Southeast Louisiana at home, and you could say they'll lose to Mississippi State, SMU, and NC State. So in order to win fewer than 5 games, the win total is 4.5, they'd have to go 3-5 in league play. Holtz hasn't done that since his first year in 2013. And their 2 crossover games against the East are against the 2 worst teams, Old Dominion and UTEP. They have 3 winnable road games against Old Dominion, UTEP, and Rice. And then, they have home games against Charlotte, Southern Miss, and North Texas. So can they win 4 of those 6? I'm going to say yes, and that's assuming, they lose at UAB and they lose at home against UTSA. That's certainly not a lot. They could beat UTSA at home. Luke Anthony did suffer a bad leg injury at quarterback. Reports are he's going to be healthy. Look, I know that they're a regression candidate on the surface, but I just think there's value in this number. I think Skip Holtz will probably end up pulling out a couple wins they shouldn't have won, and they'll get back to a bowl. I show value in this number, which I was shocked by. The offensive line was just a mess last year, but I think it should be much better. I mean, it only returned 1 starter last year without a spring practice, and then they had injuries and COVID issues all along it. So now they can gel. I think it'll be a lot better. They have a new offensive line coach and has some experience. I think the offensive line will get much better. That'll translate to more efficient offensive results across the board. And I think Holtz will have this team ready to go. It's just what he does. He gets his teams to bowl games. So I went over on Louisiana Tech. The skill position players are meh, and they lost their top 2 backs, but they brought in Marcus Williams from App State, who's ran for over 500 yards in each of the past 4 seasons. So La Tech over 4.5. Any thoughts there?
Never negate Skip Holtz's ability to cover as an underdog, especially when he's taking on teams that have larger spreads. He's pulled a few surprises in his life. So, yeah, I mean, lowest amount of returning production and transfer activity goes to Louisiana Tech, but still, I mean, this is a very well-coached team. They finished 27th in offensive finishing drives last year, and really Holtz didn't have much to work with. So I agree with you on that number. I have a couple of them I'll throw out for Conference USA, and then we will get to the meat of the sandwich in this conference. I do like Florida International to go over 4. Southern Miss, after a couple of interim coaches in the middle of the season, I love their head coaching change. I'm going to take them over 6. North Texas is absolutely on the downward spiral. Seth Luttrell not leaving for Kansas State when he did. Probably not the best in career moves now. The defense is spiraling out of control. 121st in defensive finishing drives last year. It's not getting any better. And so you can look for some of those. And this one, and a write-up I'll do on Conference USA, I love Marshall over 8. The new head coach, Charles Huff, comes from the school of Saban. Before that, he's at Mississippi State. He's been at Penn State. He's been around. This hire by them, I would question why Doc Holliday was out the door, but this hire of Huff was just universally, praised by everybody. And if you look at them, the offense is loaded with returning experience at 92% for a team that was 7th in havoc allowed. That's great for Grant Wells, because when you look at Grant Wells splits and he doesn't have pressure, he's as good as any group of 5 quarterback. It's when he has guys in his face that he starts to struggle. But this offensive line is going to take care of him. And so while Huff knows a lot about offense, it's really the defense that's going to lead this team and be one of the best in Conference USA. The units bring back their biggest names in creating havoc, and they were 14th in success rate and 4th in finishing drives. That's huge in Conference USA. So I like the win total over. The problem is they're hosting the team that I think is going to win this, and that is Western Kentucky. Go Hilltoppers, go Hilltoppers, go 14-1, hit it, 12-1, hit it, 10-1, hit it. It's a good number all the way down to 7-1. I'll let you take it away. But really, the Houston Baptist offense we saw last year is now in Conference USA. It's been married up with Western Kentucky, a team that already had a really decent defense. Western Kentucky and Tyson Helton finished 27th in defensive success rate last year and 26th in defensive havoc. And now you're going to give me an offense that goes like 600 yards a game. I can't say enough about how much I love Western Kentucky. We've all got tickets on Western Kentucky, right? Hilltoppers all the way.
Bailey Zappi, who threw. Look, this is a guy who put up. Let me say this again. Bailey Zappi. This is a guy who threw for 1,800 yards, 15 touchdowns, 1 interception in 4 games last year. 3 of those games were against Power 5 teams. One of them against Texas Tech in a 2-point loss. Houston Baptist lost by 2 at Texas Tech. He threw for 567 yards. If you look at his numbers against Power 5 teams in the past, they're excellent. So, Western Kentucky, Pigram didn't work out, the Maryland transfer quarterback. Their offense was abysmal, awful. So what did they do? They essentially brought one of the most prolific FCS offenses and brought it in to Bowling Green, which is where Western Kentucky is. So they just took an offense and brought it in a air raid. So they took their offensive coordinator, the quarterback, Zappi, and their top 3 receivers.
Yes.
So, and they're going to implement an air raid. So will it work out? I don't know, but it can't be any worse. And it's just a very high variance team this year. They also lost, a decent amount of production at linebacker and the defensive backs. So I do like some of the transfers they brought in. But again, high variance situation on the defense. If it works out, the defense, which usually is excellent, could be even more special. D'Angelo Malone, I think, will have a bounce back year at the one defensive end spot. The defensive line will be great. So this is a high variance team in a bad conference and in a wide open division. Their 2 biggest competitors for the division, Marshall undergoing a coaching change. Florida Atlantic has to find a quarterback. So it's not like
Old Dominion hasn't played in 2 years. Old Dominion hasn't played forever. It's
wide open. Now I don't necessarily like the win total over 5.5 because it could blow up, right? If it doesn't work out, I'm not investing, but the upside is huge, which is why I like, I just found a 10-1 yesterday that I bet. I'll put that in the app right now. And I think that the upside of this team in a really bad conference is worth investing in. Bailey Zappi and that air raid, if it clicks and it works, Western Kentucky can easily win this conference.
Yeah, some of these defenses in this division, Middle Tennessee finished 85th in success rate on defense. Charlotte finished 108th on defense and success rate. Some of the numbers in finishing drives. This Western Kentucky offense, if they could do what Houston Baptist did, Conference USA is not ready for this. I'm not even sure Marshall's defense, which was great against Conference USA, I'm not sure that they're ready for this. Just to take those numbers that we saw against Texas Tech and North Texas and plug them into this conference. This is a Western Kentucky team that has already beaten Arkansas. Just the defense alone under Tyson Helton was good enough to beat a Power 5 program like Arkansas. Now you're going to plug in this offense.
Does that count as a Power 5 win?
Or a baseball.
Hey, look, the San Jose State win over Arkansas was a signal of things to come.
Yes,
maybe that's
absolutely.
the case for Western Kentucky. And Marshall, who knows? Grant Wells. Which Grant Wells are we going to get at quarterback for them? All right, so we're all Toppers fans this year.